Many find this card to be empowering, yet others are afraid of its shadow side, a representation of toxic masculinity. But whether you have a love hate relationship with this card like I do, its fiery presence is impossible to ignore. The Emperor. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. I'm River. I'm a queer astrologer and tarot reader. And in this series, I'm going to be covering the meanings of each of the 78 tarot cards. So if you're enjoying following along, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Happy learning! The Fool leaves the comfort of the Empress in her home and enters the territory of the Emperor. As a universal figure for fathers, the Emperor's lessons are quite different than his Queen's. He is here to teach the Fool of autonomy, authority, and the edges of his limits. For a moment of his time, the Fool must traverse across an arid landscape and make it to the peak of the highest mountain without succumbing to heat, thirst, and the loneliness of cold desert nights. Accustomed to the severe elements of his world, the Emperor sits under a hot orange sky. This is the only card in the entire deck with this background. This color brings to mind the same brilliant orange of flowing lava, representing passion and aggression. Orange speaks to the sacral chakra as well, which shows the Emperor's needs for creative and sexual release. The Emperor's throne is carved from granite. It is as firm and unyielding as him. To drive the symbolism of this energy further, his throne is decorated with 4 ram's heads. The ram is a symbol for Aries, an unabashedly willful sign. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of war and action, and the Emperor is prepared to go to battle at a moment's notice, for underneath his robes he wears his battle gear. And yet, with his kingdom so protected within the mountain range, he has not had to face bloody conflict for many years. In fact, despite all of this hot-headed Martian energy, the Emperor has learned that by making the boundaries of his empire clear and holding his ground under pressure, that he rarely needs to go sword to sword with an enemy. Thus, he has plenty of time and energy to dominate the fields which interest him most. But what does this all mean if you were to receive the Emperor in a tarot reading? The Emperor represents fathers and the issues of fatherhood and being a parent, but he also is a stand in for whoever has more authority over your life. These would be the people that you have a hard time setting limits with. Now, this may very well be your father, but it could also be your mother, an auntie, a grandmother, and more often than not, a boss. Oftentimes, when I see this card come up in tarot readings, it's when somebody is having problems at their work. Usually there is a boss that is completely disregarding their boundaries and making them do things that are outside of their typical job duties. There may be something here where, in the boss's mind, they are pushing the person harder than their coworkers because they see something of themselves in this person. And therefore, they believe in them and want to see them rise in the ranks and become successful. And this is where the dynamic can mirror one's relationship with one's father. Now, this dynamic isn't always at work, it can be with a partner or even a friend or a sibling as well. Something that I like to remind my clients when the Emperor comes up in a reading is that each person is a kingdom unto themselves. You are an emperor of your own world. You get to decide what your boundaries and limits are. You get to set the rules of your space and what you will and will not do. And that is why the emperor is a symbol for personal power. And so when you are seeing the emperor show up time and time again in your readings, there's something there for you to be checking in on. Somebody may be pushing their authority or their rules onto you, or you may be doing that to someone else as well. Let's see how the emperor works in action through a tarot spread. So let's say for the purposes of this exercise that you are an artist and experiencing a creative block. And so a simple 2-card reading that you can do for yourself is block and solution. So you pull the first card, and for your block we get the emperor. And for the second card we have the Queen of Cups. Now, I'm going to invite you to pause the video and to see what answers you come up with on your own. Have fun with it as always, and really make sure to pay attention to the elemental differences between these cards. Notice the colors and the structures and the postures of the figures as well. So first, we're going to note how this card is orange and yellow and red, and there's this intense fiery energy emanating from the Emperor. Fire connects to one's passions and desires and drives, but it also can be anger and frustration as well. On the other side, with the Queen of Cups, we have the blue sky and the deep blue waters. Even her robe is blue as well. So this is that watery energy that we're feeling from her. The energetic difference is really clear. Water is about one's emotions and relationships, as well as spirituality and creativity too. Take note of the Emperor's throne as well. It's very rigid. The back is completely straight, which can't be comfortable at all, and it's very squarish, rectangular shaped. Whereas the Queen's throne has this curved backing so she can relax back into it. Who knows, there might even be some velvet padding underneath there as well. So the Queen of Cups is able to relax a lot more, which just adds to the soft and gentle feeling that we get from this card. So, from those things alone, how do you think these two figures would approach a problem? With the Emperor and the energy of Aries in general, there's this need to just viciously attack something when you really want it, to just go after it again and again and again, which can work in some situations, but obviously not all. When you're working on something creatively, if you're pushing yourself too hard past your limit again and again and again, you're obviously going to experience burnout. The Emperor, too, is about structure and discipline. And perhaps in this instance, the structure could be something outside of yourself. Like the example of a boss, right? You have a creative deadline that you have to meet, but it's too short of a time, but you don't feel like you can communicate that because your job is on the line. And so you push yourself when you're really running on empty. So, the solution that the Queen of Cups holds for you is about slowing down, checking in, remembering to breathe. What also might be helpful here with the Queen of Cups is finding someone to talk about your feelings with. So, this could be a therapist, a counselor, maybe somebody else who is in the same creative field as you that is very compassionate and understanding. With this pairing, there might be something here for you to investigate about why you feel the need to push yourself so hard. It's not necessarily about what you're chasing, but perhaps what you're running from. You'd be surprised at how much more creative energy that you will have when you actually slow down, stop, listen, and rest. What would it mean if we were to switch things around? And let's say that for the block, we had the Six of Wands, and for the solution, we had the Emperor. So the Six of Wands is a fiery card as well, but there is a key difference between both of these cards. Can you spot it? So in the Six of Wands, the central figure is not alone. They have a whole band of friends or family or supporters with them. Whereas the Emperor is by himself. So even though this person is leading, a lot of the energy, motivation, and drive is coming from the support of the people around them. But because this is in this space of the block, then I would say for your creative block, it's the fact that you don't feel like you have that support. Maybe, you're posting things on social media and you're not getting a lot of likes, or maybe any kind of engagement at all, or perhaps, you're churning in things for work and feedback is very minimal. And thus, you're losing the motivation to keep going, to keep creating new things. But the solution here with the Emperor shows that that power is an internal thing. It comes from yourself. You are your biggest cheerleader, you are your biggest motivator. So that is it for today's lesson. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments if you have any more questions about the Emperor. Thanks for watching!